I was watching the 16 and Pregnant, the first, whatever.
Oh, so you had watched it.
Yeah, but I was already pregnant. So I was like, oh, like, what is this? So I go on MTV.com and it was like now casting. And I was like, all right, let me send this little paragraph. And I did it. And then I got a call and was like, what the heck am I going to do? And I still didn't tell anyone because I was like, no, they're not going to pick me. So it was just, I'm just doing this for shits and giggles really at this point. And then here we go full circle into what became Teen Mom. Yeah.
So at the time, like watching that show, how do you think, like, what was your perception watching the show and being pregnant? Like, were you like, this is going to be okay? Did it give you peace of mind, or were you more like overwhelmed at what was going to be happening in your life?
With the exception of Kailyn, I was like, they're not really showing what it's like to have nothing. I think a lot of the girls came from pretty good families. They had like, you know, a good relationship with their parents, or they, you know, came from fairly stable households. And I was like, they're not really showing. And actually, what they didn't show is that my mom actually got evicted that same week. So I actually didn't have a place to live. So I was kind of forced to live with my boyfriend's parents at the time. So when I wrote in, I was like, maybe if I tell my story about like how it doesn't always start like from a good family and things like that, maybe that part would like really prevent other girls from putting themselves in, you know, situations where they could become pregnant. So that was the beginning of 16 and Pregnant.
Wild.
For me. Yeah. Wild ride.
And the draw for you, like, was there some promise of, hey, we'll pay you some money if you're on the show? Like, why did you want to apply?
I think really just telling the story of like where I came from nothing, like literally nothing. And I know that there are so many girls that come from nothing, and then they maybe accidentally or by chance or, you know, whatever the case may be, they get themselves into a position where they could get pregnant. And I just thought maybe if I told this part where you come from nothing and you get pregnant, it's not great. You know what I mean? So I thought maybe that they actually didn't pay. It was like $5,000 before taxes. So it wasn't anything. I mean, I think I bought a car with that. I didn't have a car. I got my license on the show. It was like a deleted scene. So I like didn't even have my license or anything.
That must be so inspiring too for people to see that and see you go from nothing to now thriving. You have multiple podcasts and you, I don't know, are clearly just successful in your career. And so I mean, that must be so cool for people that watch the show to now see you killing it.
Yeah.
I hope so, because sometimes I think it gets lost. I think people just remember right now, or maybe like the last 5 to 7 years. They don't really remember. They didn't show a whole lot about where I came from. So I don't know. I hope that people are like, okay, we could, if she can do it, then I can do it.
What do you hope young female viewers that had watched your seasons like gain from hearing your story?
Well, for one, I just want them to know that, nobody wants to have all of their teenage decisions blasted all over the internet. And I didn't think about that part of it.
Yeah.
And so I have so many people that will write into me and be like, I did not like you when I first started watching the show, but like now I love you. And I'm like, no, I get it. Like none of us probably would want that on the TV, right?
Yeah.
Like making crazy decisions, fighting with our boyfriends, whatever, breaking up, cheating, scandals, the whole nine. So I just hope that people look at my story and they're like, okay, we can do this. We got this. We're going to keep pushing through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because whether it's kids or something else, like I just feel like there's always more to be done. There's always more that we can get. We can get through it. It's going to be hard, but we can do it.
This weekend, Abby and I were watching highlights from the show, and I was actually, well, it's funny that you say that first off, because seeing who you are now from who you were 14 years ago, crazy, wild. Like it's just so cool to like, I don't know, see the evolution of a person in just a matter of a few days, because like my perception of you in a way was like, oh, this is like this young girl on the show, but like I was just watching a show that was old, like that's old seasons, you know. So it's like really cool to see how much you've changed, and you've like come a really long way, which is awesome. I would
be mortified to watch old seasons of Teen Mom.
Here's the thing, watching it, I was like, I felt nothing but empathy, because I think any woman looking at that could just look and imagine being 16 again. And then now, since becoming a mom, I cannot imagine, like I started a family young, but there's a large difference between, you know, being 23, married, like all that, and then like 16, you don't have like any stability at home. Like I just felt nothing but empathy. And I, honestly, you then to seeing you now, I'm like, the pattern of your life of resilience is like,
I can't cry. I just got my makeup done.
Admirable.
We have
like
dinner plans tonight. Don't make me cry right now.
You're such a resilient person, though. Truly,
you.
Like I just see so much strength and resilience. Like it's really, really, because most people, that's not the situation. Like,
well, I agree with you too, because like I'm fortunate to have two loving parents that I grew up with, and I had their support and I had their help to guide me to not make dumb decisions that I would have made if I wouldn't have had them as a kid.
Yeah.
And so, like Abby said, seeing you with not the strongest support system, you're living in your boyfriend's parents' basement, and I felt so much like I wish that everyone in life could just have an equal playing field, and it's like everyone gets an opportunity, everyone doesn't have to start off with a crappy broken system, but it's not that way. You know, life isn't that way, and some people are born into a billionaire family, and some kids are born into a household with no dad and an alcoholic mother.
Yes,
right?
100%. I always do like go back to the idea of like, if I was adopted into the right family, like what could I have done? And I even think after all these years, like I wish I didn't think that way, but I know like I was the only one, I don't know if you guys know this, I was the only one on the entire franchise to get a bachelor's degree. And so like imagine what I could have done, and if I could have the exact same kids maybe 10 years later, you know what I mean? Because I don't regret any of my kids for 1 second. So like what could I have done if I was in the right family? You know what I mean? But like that could have been so cool.
Do you wish you would have, I mean, obviously you can't change anything, but like if your mom was like in that position, do you wish that she would have like decided to put you up for adoption at one point?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that, and I think it was a pride thing for her. Allegedly, other family members had like toyed with the idea of like taking me in, but my mom wasn't having it. So I just wish that, and I see like where their kids are today, and I'm like, oh, wow. Like, wow. So I wish that I could have maybe had that and had the same kids later on, but it all worked out.
Obviously, in hindsight, like if you could have like projected your life now to 16-year-old you, like you wouldn't have changed like anything. But at the time of finding out you're 16, you knew where you were at in life. Was the thought ever in your mind like maybe to put your son up for adoption? Were you like, I don't know if this is like right at this point?
No, I don't think so. Allegedly Joe thought about it. It was in one of the scenes that I didn't even know he felt that way until we were like filming.
Oh, wow.
And he said it on camera. We were all sitting at like the table at his parents' house, and he said something about like he would have considered that, and he never brought that to me. I never considered it. Like it wasn't even because it was almost like I knew in the back of my mind like it was like I needed to get pregnant and have him to execute everything that I needed to do to like and I hate that because he was born into so much pressure. It feels like even just saying that out loud, it feels like he was born into pressure. Like he was the reason why I did those things. But I do think that he was the reason why I got my life in order and did the things that I did. But I had no idea until we filmed that scene. I think it was 16 and pregnant, maybe Teen Mom. I'm not sure, where he said that, but it never crossed my mind to put him up for adoption.
It was wild too, seeing your thought process going through all of that, because you're so young, and even like we had kids younger than most people do. Obviously we had kids older than you did, but like for us being 23 and 24, having our first child, I was just like, I feel like I'm a kid. Like I don't even know, like, am I really an adult? Like I just feel like I have imposter syndrome right now. And it was funny because there was a moment where I think it was you guys were talking about Facebook. It was like you hanging out with some friends, and it's like, oh, if you're gonna go on dates with this guy, you should like change your friends were like encouraging you to change your relationship status on Facebook.
Like, and I listened to them. Yes. I think like how crazy was that? I forgot about that. Wow. I hope that friend is doing well. I think I might still be friends with her on Facebook, actually.
Oh, no Facebook, way. Of course.